There was a time in my life where I was dancing 6 hours a day, eating as little as I possibly could, and I still ended up in the kitchen at night out of control. I would wake up, eat almost nothing, push through school, dance for hours, and by the time I was finally alone, I binged every single afternoon. And I remember thinking, what's wrong with me? I'm doing everything right. I'm being so disciplined. Why can I not just stick to this? And why does it keep happening? Also, nobody would have looked at me and guessed I was going through this. It didn't look like I had a problem, but I felt completely out of control. It took me years to understand that those two things, binging and restricting, weren't opposites. One was causing the other. So if you're eating less, skipping meals, trying to be good, and still end up overeating later, or the weight just won't move, this video is for you. Because the problem probably isn't that you're eating too much, but that you've been forcing yourself to eat too little for way too long. We've all been taught the same thing, that weight loss is simple. You just eat less and move more, so that's what we all do. We skip breakfast, we cut carbs, we cut sweets, we cut chocolate, and then we push through hunger and tell ourselves that that's just what discipline feels like. And for a week or two, it works. The scale finally moves and you feel like you finally figured it out. Because short-term restriction does feel productive, it does give you results, but long-term, it quietly destabilizes everything that you want. And most people never really connect the dots between the restriction that happens during the day and the binging that then happens at night or the afternoon. They just think that I failed again, I have no willpower, I'm just not capable, my body is broken, and something is wrong with me. But that's not really what's happening, and I want to show you what actually is. So when you undereat, especially over a long period of time, your body doesn't just accept it, it responds to that. Because your hunger hormone, ghrelin, starts rising, and that makes you more hungry. So the longer and more you ignore it, the louder it gets. Then in the meantime, the hormone that makes you feel full, leptin, that drops. So your body is essentially screaming for food while making it harder to feel satiated from what you eat. Because if you do this over a long period of time, even though you do get the binges, since they only happen because of a response to the restriction, your body thinks that it's still in a famine, that you do not get enough during the day, so it has to compensate at night. And since you don't have fullness hormones like leptin, you're totally out of balance, you go way over what you would have eaten if you would have had just a few more stable meals throughout the day, and then you might have even still lost weight. Because I remember always feeling dizzy during my ballet classes, like genuinely lightheaded, and I just thought it was normal, or that's what I was supposed to feel like, that it was just part of being disciplined. But now I understand that that was my body literally just running on empty, just trying to get through the day with nowhere to get the energy from and nowhere near enough fuel. And then the afternoon would come, I'd be alone, and my body would just take over. Not because I was weak, but because I was restricting all day. And so just had to compensate for everything I was withholding all day. So here's the cycle, and I want to know if this feels familiar in any way to you. So you wake up, you restrict because you might even feel guilty about the day before, or because you just want today to be different. And so you just eat as little as you can. But then you get to the evening, you're exhausted. You've been mentally controlling your food all day. Your body is depleted, you have no energy, and then you lose control. You eat just everything in sight. And then the guilt hits. You feel miserable because you didn't stick to what you wanted to, and you feel out of control and just like you can't do anything about it. So the next morning you wake up, you restrict even harder because you messed up, and the cycle continues. I did this almost every single day for years, waking up, trying to eat as little as possible, getting to lunch, not eating a lot, getting to the afternoon and being completely out of control, and then hating myself for it every single time it happened. And the worst part, I believed I just did not have enough discipline to stick to this, that other girls could do it and I just couldn't, that I was broken. But that was not lack of discipline. That was literally biology catching up to me. My body fought back and it almost had to. So you're not broken, but you might just be running on a system that was never gonna work. So what actually works? It's not just eating more for the sake of it. It's about eating consistently enough so that your body doesn't feel like it's in survival mode. For me, that looked like eating a breakfast, a real one, prioritizing protein at every meal so that I genuinely stayed full, giving myself permission to eat enough during the day so that by the evening I didn't feel like I was starving. Instead of eating as little as possible, I started to ask myself what was the maximum amount that I could eat and still see progress. Fat loss just works so much better when your body is just not fighting against you. Because right now, I still track calories, but gently, in a flexible way. I aim for a moderate deficit and not a severe one. Because a small deficit that you can hold over several months will always beat a drastic one that you can only hold for 3 days and then you crash. And honestly, the binging stopped, not because I had more willpower, but because I stopped starving myself and expecting a different result. I want to leave you with this because I think it's the most important thing. The goal was never to eat as little as possible. The point is to find the amount of food where you can lose weight slowly and steadily while still enjoying your life and feeling like yourself. Because you do not have to be miserable to see progress. You do not have to earn food by suffering first. If you've been stuck in this cycle for years, restricting, binging, starting over every Monday, I want you to know that it's not a character flaw, it's a pattern, and patterns can change. You just need a different approach, one that works with your body and not against it. And that's what I'm honestly still learning, and that's what this whole channel is about. Now, if you want to know how to actually set up a gentle deficit that doesn't send you into restriction mode, I made a whole video about that and I'll link it right here. So I really hope that this helped, that you enjoyed, and that I'll see you in my next video. Bye!